Unless it's using it effectively.
Welcome, councillors, staff and gallery to the August meeting of council. In formally opening the meeting, we pay respect and meet in the spirit of respect and cooperation and collaboration. We pay tribute to those who've come before us as we seek to grow our understanding, our connection and knowledge of our heritage and our culture. We pay respect to the traditional custodians of these lands and the European settlers whose customs and traditions have been passed down for 6 generations. Members, I have an apology from Councillor Evans. We'll move to item which is the confirmation of the previous minutes. The previous minutes, council meeting minutes held on the 21st of July 2026 at 5:30. Would someone move those minutes? Councillor Priest.
So moved.
Councillor Lane. All those in favour? Carried. There was matters arising from the previous minutes, and that's to do with the Twin Creek Wind Farm development with the withdrawal of the application. So with that in mind, we can move to item 4, which is the Mayor's report on page 7. Councillor Barrett.
Yes, I have one question, please, Mayor. Could you just give a little bit more information on your ride out through the pine forest in relation to Treadwell Management Services and anything you can tell us a little bit about what some of the work they're doing?
Some of the works associated with just reviewing some of the previous work that was undertaken with regard to the Great Australian Wine Trail and just reviewing some of those aspects, identifying some of the changes to the route, as well as some of the costings, just to bring it up to date for any possible funding applications which may be on the horizon, so that we're on the front foot if we need to be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moved Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? Carried.
Must wash it.
We'll move on to item 6, which is the matters for information, as there's no councillor reports on section 5. So there's some matters there for information. Councillor Priest.
I'd like to seek a leave of the meeting to bring forward 7 of the debate reports, 7.3.4. I'd like to bring that forward.
Well, it's coming up later on. We're dealing with matters.
Okay.
Matters for information. That's in our debate agenda coming up later on. Is there any? You can apply that. If it's the leave of the meeting, if they want to bring it forward.
Yeah, correct. I'm seeking leave of the meeting to
Okay,
bring it forward.
Can I have a show of hands? If it's to
Got to be 2/3.
2/3. Okay, all right.
7 point. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I've got the numbers. Councillor Priest. Hang on, I'll just get onto the page myself. It was
7.3.4, 276.
276. Okay.
Excuse me, Mayor. Before we start the proceedings, can I notify General Council?
Yep, just turn your... Yep.
Before we go any further, can I advise the Chamber of a general conflict of interest in relation to this matter?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, my wife is a member of the Mount Pleasant CWA. She does not hold any executive positions on that body. However, she does attend the state CWA as a delegate and has voting rights as a delegate at the state level, but not at a local level. And I'm just notifying people, I do intend to stay in the meeting and I will be voting.
Councillor Priest.
I'll also seek leave of the meeting. I do believe there's some people here who want to speak on this motion, and I'm seeking leave of the meeting till... we've done it before.
No,
We have done this before.
No, we haven't. In a workshop, we may have, but in a council meeting, there is a set procedure under the Act, councillor. And that's the way it is. So let's have the debate.
The leave of the meeting can't override the law.
Okay, the leave of the meeting cannot override the law.
Okay, no worries.
So, members, we're dealing with 7.3.4 on page 276. Councillor Priest.
I don't want to speak. I want to speak to retaining the hall.
We are.
Right.
Well, there is. Just clarify. There has been no thought whatsoever of not retaining the hall. So there has been no thought or any discussion whatsoever in this chamber of not retaining the hall. So it's a mute subject. Councillor De Vries.
Happy to move the recommendation, more than happy to speak to it because clearly there's a lot of public interest in this and I think people need to be clarified because there's been a lot of misinformation running around in the community and I think people have been unnecessarily upset by that. So I move the recommendation.
Moved Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Angus. Councillor De Vries.
Okay, so for those who maybe are unfamiliar with how the process works, what happens is when the council wants to review an asset like this, which is clearly in need of a lot of love, rather than just going blindly ahead and doing it, we like to talk to the community first, which is what this process has done. There was no desire to do any one particular option. Where 4 options were put to the community, 3 all got fairly good responses. 1 clearly was out of alignment with the others, which is the idea of making it sort of basically making it an open space. And so at the moment, the preference is to, number 4 is to just basically fix it up and repair it. And then there are 2 other preferences as well, but they all share the same basic principle, which is they want to retain the fact that this is a CWA hall. They want to retain the female toilets. They don't want they don't want to see it substantially change in any way. So what we are doing now is we are taking the 3 that were preferenced, which are all aligned, largely in alignment with each other. That will then come back to the council and then the council will go back to public consultation, taking out the one that they least liked, the one that was the one that was causing people concern. There is no, this decision in no way talks about getting rid of the hall, quite the reverse. What we are doing is taking a asset that has been allowed to run down over time and fixing it up. So the people who love that facility will love this because we're actually looking to improve it, add money to it and make it fit for purpose. That's the purpose behind what we're doing.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate it. We're talking about the memorial restrooms. You mentioned the CWA hall. Yeah, okay. Thanks. Councillor Angus.
Thank you, Mayor. You don't need someone to talk against it before I speak for it.
You've seconded it.
Okay. I am aware that I think we probably have dropped the ball on this item. We could have done better in what we put out to the public, but I'd also make the point that the hysteria that was surrounded with comments on social media and picked up and aided and abetted by various people, have done nothing to help the cause. You know, people see the word demolish and then after it they didn't read, you know, internal wall. They say we're going to knock it down. Nothing could be further from the truth. Now, I believe that this building is worth far more than apparently option 4 is the most preferred. I believe this building warrants a much, much better solution than option 4. And to be honest, until I went to the, I'm ashamed to say this, until I went to the sort of workshop a couple of weeks ago, that one evening with council staff and some locals, I didn't realise it had a men's toilet incorporated in it. But when I saw the condition and the state of them, 1950s, 1960s kind of plumbing and tiles and cubicles that only go, you know, 3 feet from the ceiling and a foot off the ground. Really, if people want to retain that in 2026, I'll go he. So I'm going to push very hard for a major refurbishment, and I'll go as far as to say that the vacant room to the north, the one that's falling off the building, which should be reinstated with underpinning, could become a dedicated male toilet, change rooms, disability, no unisex toilets. The existing toilet side becomes the ladies' female change rooms, feeding room. The central area could be retained as it is, but majorly refurbished. And, you know, we could even have a big window out to the back because there's a beautiful view out over the park. Now, it's probably $500,000, but you've got to start somewhere. Maintaining it in its current form is really, I don't think it's appropriate for the standard of today. So in going back to the public for a second kind of opinion, they're my thoughts, because I think, yes, we desperately need to maintain the ethos for which that building was built as a tribute to women who served and who stayed home and worked for the war effort, and you know, long may that be the case. So I just want to point out, you know, that the council's not the enemy here. I think social media is the enemy. Thank you.
I'm for retaining the building and doing some major upgrades to it. I'm totally against the unisex toilets. I think the majority of people in the Barossa are against unisex toilets as well. But I think it's a shame that the council's allowed it to fall into disrepair. I don't think there's anything majorly been done since it was originally built. Like a lot of our old buildings in the Barossa, a lot of them have fallen into disrepair without being fixed. So I'm for retaining the building. It is built by the people of the Barossa at fundraising that they did themselves in the 50s. It's a memorial to women who served in Great Wars. So I'm all for retaining it, some fixing up and some TLC, which should have been done over the years and that was never done. And I have used that building on many, many occasions. Thank you.
I just wanted to take a moment to reiterate a few things that I think are really important, particularly because we've got a gallery of people who have taken the time to come and join us this evening. The first is around, I understand that it can be incredibly frustrating that you're in the gallery but do not have the opportunity to speak this evening, and whether that was made clear to you before you came tonight, whether there was, you know, some suggestion that you may have been able to speak. I just want it to be really clear that we're not able to override the Act. So it's not a matter that's at our discretion to be able to allow you to speak. The second thing that I think is really important to reiterate is that there is I really want to sort of emphasise the point that Councillor Angus made around social media. The comments and the submissions, I know they take a long time to write. I've done a lot of them myself in my life. That feedback has been heard loud and clear, and it was really
Councillor,
consistent as well.
I need to instruct you to address the chair.
So I think that as part of that acknowledgement, it's important that council really explicitly understand the consistency of the feedback that was received. But I really strongly condemn any actor in our community who is stirring up misinformation and disinformation on social media. And I encourage anyone that has questions about developments like this to actually speak directly to council and not listen or read or believe what's published on Facebook.
Councillor Hearn.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I agree, especially with the comments that Councillor Angus made that the toilet should be revamped completely. My wife uses that particular area from time to time when she's visiting Anguston, and the doors, for instance, are opening the wrong way. So it needs to be modified, and the rear room that Councillor Angus was talking about, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I think we should really, if we're going to do it, let's do it well. It is a memorial, so we can't change the outside of it at all, because that's how it was built in those days. So I would implore council and fellow councillors to listen to all the comments that we have in the chamber tonight and push forward and make it something for the next 50 to 100 years.
Councillor, I just want to clarify that at the commencement of this consultation, all this information came before us. So we were fully aware of what's gone out to the community, and everyone voted for that to go out. I agree that there possibly could have been a little bit more foresight in what went out, but I will reiterate, and I got chased by the advertiser on Sunday, where everyone was talking about demolition, and Councillor, you talked demolition, and you know that was never ever discussed in this chamber. We were put out for consultation, and I see that we got 264 people responded. That's probably the best consultation we've ever had, even though we're not happy with what we put out, but we've learnt from that experience. And I think the important thing now is we take on board the opportunities before us. Last night we paid tribute to the returned soldiers from Vietnam and women, and anybody that serves, and the women that stood by while our men and women were serving overseas. This memorial is absolutely essential to this community. So we're at the point where we're getting some costings, more information will come back, and it won't be a conceptual idea, it'll be what you then choose to fund and build.
Mr Mayor, there is a correction to the resolution, if you remember, because it should be the Angus Women's Memorial Hall, not
That's
CWA.
right, yes, there is a correction. Yes, the CWA needed to come out. Yes, that's right. Councillor Barrett.
The question I've got is the motion as we've got at the moment, is that broad enough to encompass some of the areas that Councillor Angus was talking about?
Strictly, through you, Mr Mayor, strictly Councillor Barrett, I take your point. It's probably not now. We'd need to add an option 5 to incorporate, how do we describe that, Councillor Angus? Separate toilets, facilities, change rooms, and refurbishment of the existing facility?
Total refurbishment.
Yeah, total refurbishment.
Yep.
Yep. Is that, I mean, we understand the direction you're asking us to get the other option. So could we just perhaps,
We'll just add it.
so it means, as we've learnt from the legal advice last week.
So variations are okay.
Variation, and you're happy as the seconder, Councillor Angus? Yep.
even though he suggested it as the seconder. Isn't that ironic?
Don't you think?
So any further comment?
Hang on, can we just get
We'll just get this sorted out.
Mayor, if I may, I spent some time today talking with staff about the limited scope of this motion. So I'm pleased that Councillor Barrett brought it out because it did concern me, but I thought we'll see if it flies. And I appreciate that it's we're covering every base.
what do you want to call the middle area, Councillor Angus?
It's not, well, the middle area needs refurbishing. The eastern area, I think, needs to be converted.
Need toilets, ablutions.
Okay, including separate toilets on the northern and southern ends.
Yep.
And refurbishment.
Yes, everybody has heard men and
Yeah,
women.
understood. And refurbishment of the central function, kitchen, room.
No kitchen.
Just room,
Function area.
function area. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Smoother?
You okay?
I'm happy to
Councillor
close it
Angus
when
is
people
fine.
are finished too. So.
There's no further comment, you can close.
Okay,
Hang on, it's a variation, so you need to leave the variation.
Leave the meeting for the variation.
yes.
You need
Yep.
two-thirds majority.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All in favour?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Definitely, yeah.
Where is this? This is now.
Just there, yeah.
That's that with number 5.
Oh, right.
Councillor De Vries.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So, yeah, it is unfortunate when social media gets out of control the way they have, in so much as that rather than actually seeking to understand the purpose, which in this instance was to improve what's there, not to degrade it, even the most minimal amount of grace, nobody actually contacted anybody and sought to have it clarified. They just jumped to the worst possible conclusion without reading at everything that was actually in it, and then assumed that we were all evil characters who just wanted to destroy something that we all value very highly along with the rest of the community. And that's okay, that's part of politics, that's part of the democratic system, and that's fine. And if people want to get that sort of stuff going in the community, go with it. Unfortunately, I don't like the way that happens because it causes people fear. And I don't like it when people peddle fear within the community. I think it's unnecessary. I love my fellow Barossans and I don't like them to feel upset and I don't like them to feel fearful unnecessarily. So I'm just going to say that if anybody wants to actually read the agenda rather than just sort of go off social media, and I'm talking about this to anybody who might be listening to the tape, you will know that all of the things which people were concerned about are encompassed within this particular option, these now four options. The idea of unisex toilets replacing women's toilets is absolutely off the table, and that was very clearly articulated by the community across the board. And retaining the heritage look and the essence of what the building is all about is vital as well. And every one of these options goes down that path. But there are different ways of achieving a particular outcome. As they say, there are many paths up the mountain. So these options are all trying to achieve the same thing, but through different methods. And the best thing that the community will be delighted to hear is they will get another say and they will have another opportunity to voice which they like the best, and we will get this right. Thank you.
We have the motion there. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. As it was previously. We'll revert back to the debate agenda as listed, 7.1.1. Oh,
He'd leave the meeting.
oh, okay, all right. I stand corrected. We did move past information. Was there anything in the matters for information? Okay. 7.1.1, update appointment of representatives of the Sister City Advisory Committee on page 147. Moved Councillor Angus and seconded Councillor Lane. Councillor Angus. Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. 7.1.2 is the privacy policy on page 151 with a recommendation as Council endorses the privacy policy as per attachment 1 with the information accordingly. Moved and seconded Councillor Hearn. Either one wish to speak to it? Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. 7.1.3 is the registration of interest policy on page 163. Once again with the appropriate attachments 1 and 2. One endorsing and the other one revoking.
Yeah, just a quick question, but I'm happy to move it. So in essence, we'll still be filling out the same forms at the same time of the year, but it just simplifies the way in which it's referenced to the community. Is that the gist of it?
Thanks, Mr Mayor, correct.
Okay, and happy to move it.
Moved Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Barrett. Either one wish to speak further?
No, it's just a formal thing and it's good for the community to know what's going on. So,
Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. Item 7.1.4, the public interest disclosure and policy and process documents. Once again, recommendations accordingly. Councillor Priest.
So moved.
Councillor Priest, seconded Councillor Greatwich. Either one wish to speak? Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. Seven 7.1.5 on 208, and I believe, CEO, there's a little variation that you wish to bring forward to council.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Due to a late change from the LGA, the recommendations for the Local Nuisance and Control Act do not need to change now. So we're just asking you to pass the resolution excluding that amendment.
All clear? Moved Councillor Angus and seconded Councillor Hearn. Either one wish. It is. Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. Seven 7.2.1 is event sponsorship program 2026-27 on page 224. Councillor De Vries.
yes, I'd like to move this with one very minor alteration, and that's to do, if everybody wants to turn to page 227, the Barossa and Districts Pipe Band Winter Flame. This is a Tier 2 event. They requested 5,000 and were offered 1. I'd like to change that to 2, and I'm very happy to speak to it as to why. But I'll need a seconder. Thank you.
I had a question, but
Moved councillor De Vries and seconded councillor Priest. Yep, we'll just add the words in, which was,
To, um,
Barossa and District Pipe Band be awarded
okay, now.
You
I
speak
can-
to it,
okay,
yeah.
Good. All right, look, I'm aware that this is a dangerous precedent because I don't want to start a bidding war and everybody saying, oh, if you can add 1,000, you can add. Let me explain. This is a highly unusual circumstance, and the reason why, and I have spoken to the writer of this report. If you look through, you'll notice that the Tier 2, which are basically significant community events, there's been a number of different groups that asked for, like the Angaston Agricultural, Horticultural and Floricultural Society asked for 5,000 and got 2. Angaston Community Business Alliance asked for 5,000 and got 4. Every one of them received 40% or more of what they requested, except for the pipe band. They only got 20%. So I'm not suggesting that we top them all the way up to 4,000. I'm just saying, but it would be nice if they could at least get parity with the other lowest figure. These are the Tier 2s. Now, the reason why is this. I actually encouraged them to put in for this because they've been running the Winter Flame for the last 4 years without any support at all. They get no help from the Main Street traders, but they are providing a major event at the middle of the year when there's basically no other events occurring, and I know that that's something that the council is interested in doing. And they're actually losing money on this. It's like a lot of these events can be monetised, but this particular one, they're actually putting their own hands in their pockets to run this, and they're losing about 2,000 to 3,000 a year as a result. And so my view is that I don't think they should be required to do that. It's enough that they're volunteering and putting in all this effort and time and so forth. I'm very supportive of this. You'd probably see me up the front with the tiki torch, and Councillor Lane has been there as well, as is Councillor Troop and His Worship, and this year Ashton Hearn. So I think this is a great event. They are constantly looking for ways to improve it and so forth. Now, I don't want this to start, let's all add and add and add. I'm just saying, but I'm just asking for them to have parity with the next lowest. And the other thing is, we have not awarded the full 30,000. We've only awarded 26.5. I think that's from memory, which means that we will still be under the cap. So this isn't going to create any budgetary problems and so forth. It won't impact the council particularly, but it'll have a huge benefit to this group who I think deserves our support. And the fact that they haven't put up their hand prior to this, where other groups have been supported, I don't think that they should receive the least amount. I did actually ring the writer of the report to identify why they only received the 1,000, and it sounds like they weren't aware that they were actually out of pocket to the level that they are, and so I don't know whether they would have made this decision had they had that information or not. But this is, I guess, a check and balance in the system, and I think that for mine, I'd like to see that raised. So hopefully you'll all support that. I'll leave it to the rest of you to decide.
Councillor Priest is a seconder. Councillor Great, I'll just let Councillor Priest speak.
In fact, I would have given them the full $5,000 because I don't think they've ever claimed any money before, and they do a lot of work for free, put a lot of time in helping the community with their pipe bands, so I would have given them $5,000, but happy to support the $2,000.
Councillor Schilling, you had a question that I'll take.
May I ask two questions? I had a question initially, but then I have a follow-up question. I'm really unclear about something that Councillor De Vries raised. Can I ask them at the same time? My first question was, is there a reason that Mount Pleasant Christmas Parade and Street Party, they were the only applicant that I can see that was awarded the full amount that was requested, so I just wondered if there was some commentary around that. But the question that I had off the back of Councillor De Vries' question is, if I understand it correctly, what you're saying is that the pipe band the disparity between the amount they requested and the amount that they were eventually awarded was significantly disparate from the other tier 2 applicants.
Yeah, I should have probably clarified that. Of similar nature. So the other grades and so forth are getting more as a percentage.
Okay, so that, yeah, I heard that,
I mean, like the gin one obviously is.
yeah, because I was like,
But
that's,
they can monetise where the pipe band can't.
okay, great, thank you. That's what I understand. So rather than using the distinction of tier 2, you're actually saying the distinction of like public parades and, you know, events that aren't able to monetise. Yeah? Okay, fine, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Just on that note, just to support what Councillor De Vries has said, been involved with pipe bands in South Australia for 20 years plus. And this is becoming, just for an FYI for the Chamber, this is becoming a very big event in the Scottish calendar, because a lot of the different clan gatherings, they cost too much money, and it's an event in the middle of winter as well, which is driving people. I know there are people that are coming all over South Australia and interstate to come to this event here. So in the middle of winter, coming to the Barossa, I reckon that's a win-win, and that we should support them, because the Scottish event, the Scottish culture, it's the same as everything. It's a bit costly. These people work for nothing, and they volunteer just for the cultural aspect. So I really encourage us to support this.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be supporting the recommendation as put up by Councillor De Vries, and I thank the staff for what they've done. It's a particularly thankless task trying to divide up $30,000 amongst the number of applications they had. From memory, I think it was 31. And from what I can see, they've tried to do their best in balancing is what's been allocated across the towns. I copped a bit of flack from our Progress Association for their centenary, but whilst they're not happy, they will live with it, and so I'll be supporting what's been put forward. Thank you.
I think it's a valid point. The framework that was established came to council that we adopted, and I think staff have done a tremendous job to be able to manage what they have, because it's difficult when you have so many people apply and it was oversubscribed. It just means that there's a lot of events and a lot of dedicated people out there, so we'll see how we move in the future. Councillor De Vries, you want to close the debate?
If nobody else...
Anything further?
I just wanted to reiterate that and to say that this is in no way inferring any criticism of the staff and what they did. I think they did a fantastic job. Looking through it, I just thought this was a very, very well-organised thing, and frankly, I think we need to put more money into the system, because I think all of these events, I agree with Councillor Priest, if we could fund them all to the full extent, that would be marvellous. And there was even when I was chatting today, there was even a possibility that maybe a member of the council could be on that group as well, just so that this sort of thing might slip through the cracks. As I said, I think that had they known what I knew, then they probably would have decided slightly differently. I'll never know. But anyway, thank you everybody for indulging in this.
Closes debate. Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. 7.2.2 is the community engagement policy and process on page 241. Councillor Greatwich.
I'm happy to move this and speak to it briefly.
Moved Councillor Greatwich. Seconded. Councillor Troop. Councillor Greatwich.
Thank you. It just struck me having the rest of the meeting sort of transpire the way that it did. I appreciate that sometimes when we're going through like procedural things and we need to double check, and is the variation allowed, and does someone have to second this before it can be moved, and there's this sort of like grinding kind of administrative component to what happens in this chamber. But I think it's important to acknowledge that that applies to everything. And so what we have in front of us here is an incredibly comprehensive policy that speaks to exactly the issues that have been raised earlier in this evening's meeting. And I hope that it gives our community an enormous sense of confidence that the same degree of attention to detail and doing things by the rules, by the framework that has been established, applies to the consultation and the information that we put out into the community to be considered as part of a consultation process. So yes, this is an enormously comprehensive document. It lists things down to the nth degree, and I think that rather than viewing it as a sort of restriction, I think we should view it absolutely as a safety mechanism and something that should give great confidence to our community that the manner in which council conducts itself in these matters is really strictly adhered to.
Any further comment? Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. 7.2.3 is the monthly finance report as of the 31st of July 2026 on page 260. Councillor Priest.
So moved.
Moved Councillor Priest. Seconded Councillor De Vries. Either one wish to speak to it? Councillor De Vries, you're... No. Oh. Nothing further? All those in favour? Carried. (7.3.1) on page 263 is the endorsement of the assumed approval, section 221 of Tanunda, which identifies some historical encroachments within public road reserves. Councillor Priest.
I'll move it, but I'd like to ask a question. If the staff can explain, I read it, just to give a bit more brief history on what is actually going on here, if through the chair. Yep. And I'll move the motion.
I'm happy to second too.
I'll just answer the question and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and Councillor Priest. It's one of those hang-ups that you find every now and then. So this is a piece of work that was done by the District Council of Tanunda to take a very small easement across the front of, well, not an easement, sorry, a very small, bang, it's just gone out of my head, the word strip of land, to basically manage access to building, to properties, but it actually hasn't resulted in an encroachment of some of the fences. It does not impact any car movement. It doesn't impact any foot movement. We are talking literally 100 millimetres. So we'll correct those as we go over time when they get sold and we move things around. The alternative is if they're not approved, something comes up, we and they are potentially going to be liable for any issue. Again, it's going to be highly unlikely that it would be for 100 millimetres, something to happen on 100 millimetres. The only other solution we've got is to ask everybody to move their fences and their gardens, and that's just not a very good outcome either. So this just tidies up something very administrative that we discovered a few months ago, and we've been kicking around how we actually manage it. We discovered it because it came up actually in a search related to a land sale, and my instruction was, this is just administrivia. Let's just make it tick and move on.
A long time ago, probably 20 odd years ago, this happened in Norwood Payneham Council, where there was discrepancies in people's land, like fences were, out a metre or half a metre. But the courts found that the person who'd actually moved the fence originally, who shouldn't have, they found in favour of that. So would that happen with this? The courts find in favour of the people who are actually got the fences intruding onto our council land?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor. The very legal answer to that is whoever has made the encroachment has to fix it. And I know the case you're actually referring to, that was quite a protracted case. And yes, it was found to be pretty much opposite to previous understandings. But no, whoever actually has the encroachment, it's their responsibility to fix it. But my view of this is that would be unreasonable to ask a whole pile of people on Murray Street and under to go and fix it for a 100mm issue when there is no fundamental impact on the service of the road in any case.
So move councillor De Vries. Move
Priest.
councillor Priest, and you're...
I'm happy to second it and speak to it. Yeah, so if you actually go down that area, you'll know that the edge of the road to the edge of the properties, even as with that encroachment, is still incredibly wide. The only people who actually are there parking on the side of the road are the people who live there anyway. I could probably name a dozen streets in Tanunda alone, and I'm sure when I letterbox next year, I'll find heaps where, you know, like you get a hedge that sort of pushes the boundary of a property out and the next neighbour puts a fence alongside that, and there's all these little dodgy sort of kinks in and out. We live in the country, this isn't causing anybody any harm, and this is a sensible way to resolve it, so I'm sure we could find more if we went looking for them.
I know there's a significant road in Tanunda which has got a fair slab of private land under it, and it's not our road, it's a department road, so there's a lot of these little anomalies out there, and this deals with it. Councillor Barrett.
I won't say much to say other than this is an excellent pragmatic approach, and I urge people to vote in favour of it.
Anything further? Wish to close the debate? Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. 7.3.2 is the Tanunda Road renaming, Grokey Street, on page 267. Councillor Greatwich.
I'm happy to move it. I also just wanted to know, I think there's a Grokey Road in Crondorf as well. So is there some sort of like territorial area, like an actual defined circumference of land that we use to say outside of that it's okay to have a duplication? I know it's a road versus a way versus a street, but I'm just curious.
CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. The short answer to that is not explicitly. It's the general determinant is the township, right? So Grokey Way, Grokey Terrace, Tanunda is not keeping in the spirit of the policy and idea. It's no different. We've got lots of Murrays, but it's in a different town.
Happy to second it. And I was going to say the same, as long as it's not in the same town, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Do you wish to speak any further? Councillor Breeze?
Yeah, I just have a brief question. Seems we're bringing up about renaming streets and that. I did notice today in the reserve I was walking in that there's a new bench put in there with Julianne Coombe. I was just wondering, a question to the staff or the CEO, I actually would have liked to have gone along to that. I didn't see any notification through emails or anything like that.
We'll stay with what we're dealing with at the moment.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, I just
'cause
thought
we'll stay with the road renaming rather than... anything further? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Se 7.3.3 is the Uriup to Centenary Park Netball Tennis Courts lighting upgrade and a request to bring forward some funds on page 272. Councillor Priest.
a question though, or I wait for the mover and seconder. Yeah, I noticed that we're bringing forward the 78,000 that was granted. I was just wondering why and council has to pay 102,000 of this 200,000 budget, why is both the netball and the tennis club only putting in $10,000 each? And the question to the CEO is Tennis Australia putting funds into this, and Netball Australia putting funds into this to help cover the costs? Because it seems relatively low, $10,000 each, and I thought that Tennis Australia would put more funding in, and Netball Australia as well would be, which other clubs have done that through national.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thanks, Councillor. The opportunity arises because we were able to deliver the projects for the lighting under budget. So that's why we've been able to do an agreement to bring that, instead of giving the 78 grand back, we can bring that forward. So that 102,000 is coming forward from that bigger project to do the ceiling as well and the sheds. So this is their contribution for the lighting, but if we get the money for the sheds, they'll make contribution to that as well. So that's why it's 10 for this, and we'll get another 10 or 20 or 30 for the others. No, we have not approached Tennis Australia. They've only ever assisted with the Tanunda upgrades about a decade ago. And I can tell you now, Netball SA hasn't got any money.
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Move Councillor De Vries, and seconded. The hands went up everywhere. Councillor Hearn. Okay. Councillor De Vries.
I'm going to keep this very short, sharp and shiny. I don't want to give the money back.
It is already at a project that's approved. We're just being able to bring
No,
it
that's
forward.
fine. Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Councillor Hearn, do you want to speak? No, I agree with everything that's said there. Councillor Priest, something further?
Oh.
Councillor De Vries, you want to close the debate? Or?
No. Okay, I close the debate.
Okay. All right. Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. We'll move to 7.4.1 is the mobile roadside vendors policy on page 331.
Just ask a brief question through the
Yes,
through the
Councillor
chair.
Priest. Yep.
Does this mean that anybody can request to have something on a footpath or near a vineyard, or various things will be popping up, selling clothes or selling shoes or things like that?
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor, I might divert to my friend over there who have more detail, but I think they've actually had that right for over a decade. Yeah. But this is putting rules around it.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thanks Councillor Priest. Absolutely, it's just providing some clarification around when and where those types of uses can occur. Typically it is restricted to food traders, but increasingly we're getting further requests for other type of goods to be sold on the roadside, so we just want to get some control and process around that.
Through the chair, my concern is that anything will start popping up, selling oranges, which happens now, but I'm okay with food selling and that, and coffee vendors, but I'm just worried that shoes and second-hand goods will start setting up on sides of roads and things like this, yeah. I'll move the motion.
Councillor Great, would you add your light on? Would you have a question? Okay. Move, Councillor Priest.
Oh, sorry, I did have a question, but I was
Okay.
happy to cede to Councillor Priest. Oh,
Okay.
Sorry.
Move, Councillor Priest. Seconded, Councillor De Vries. Either one will speak to it, then I'll take a question. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Priest. I don't want to see a lot of stuff popping up everywhere, but if it's going to happen, then we should at least have some level of control and some sort of policy around it. And so this will give us what little control that we will have.
just wondered what, from my reading of it, I couldn't necessarily see that there had been an explicit linkage created to any future event management or event consideration. And so I just wondered whether thought had been given to things like how this policy links into things like for Tour Down Under, or when we have large activations on the street and then you've got multiple vendors who are sort of on the footpath and activating areas within the townships. But also I know, I'm just recalling in the past there's been applications that I don't think eventuated for things like food truck festivals. I think Bethany Reserve was one place that was suggested. So how this, whether there is sort of specific frameworks that will be considered for those sort of once-off event applications for food vendors, whereas this to me read to be sort of a long-term, I want to bring my fruit and vegetables from the Riverland every week for a year kind of situation.
Well, I can go first, CEO, and you can correct me. Thanks, Councillor Greatwich. So those type of situations you're speaking about are dealt with through the event management framework. Yep, these are for more the ongoing and regular type requests we receive. Yep.
And it's only going out for public consultation. I'll reiterate, public consultation. We'll get feedback and then you'll have another bite at it. Anything further? Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. (7.4.2) is the draft Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy on page 350. CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to draw your attention to a slight change to part 1 of the resolution. In my haste, I wrote that it started and finished on the same day. Thank you, Councillor Barrett. It will actually close on the 16th of September.
Councillor Schilling.
I'd like to move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Move Councillor Schilling.
I'd just like to comment on that. It's a very exciting strategy, and a lot of work, a lot of time and effort have gone in. So thank you to staff and everybody from the community who's been involved in putting this together. So looking forward to seeing it, what comes out of the consultation.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. I'm just reiterating that. I just think it's an excellent the strategy, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm very, very excited to see the First Nations focus and that it's finally being articulated, as well as all the other things as well. So it's extremely exciting.
Any further comment? Put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Did you vote, Councillor Priest? For or against? Okay, I didn't see the for. Okay, thank you. I'll just call that again. All those in favour? Carried. (7.4.3), page 410, development application for land division on lot 500, Cemetery Road, Taunton, State Planning Commission request for concurrence. I think we talked about this at a workshop at some stage, from memory. No, we didn't?
We dealt with a similar.
Oh, sorry.
Through the Mayor, we dealt with a similar application at the last council meeting. This is a second application.
Second application.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Yep. There's a recommendation.
I'm happy to move that.
Moved Councillor Greatwich. Seconded Councillor Troop. Either one wish to speak to it? Any further comment? Councillor Angus.
Thank you, Mayor. It's 2 of these in 2 meetings is unprecedented, in my opinion, in a district where I thought the creation of new titles was forbidden almost anywhere and everywhere apart from within town boundaries. It seems like we have no power over our own destiny. We have to endorse what the state planning feel is good for us. So I'm just flagging that if this is the beginning of an avalanche, then we need to be very careful. Very careful. And I concede that it just about meets the minimum areas. I mean, they've got the area to produce 2 legal titles, but they're choosing to make one slightly smaller than is required. And they're using the excuse that it creates an opportunity for primary production viability. I'd be very interested to know more details on that, but I won't vote against this, but I'm just saying we need to be pretty careful.
Councillor Barrett.
I share similar concerns to Councillor Angus. My father-in-law at one stage, he had a small holding down that way of 105 acres, and I know how he battled to make a living out of that 105 acres, and these are a little bit less than that, and I just can't see how the numbers are going to stack up and our land is being divided up. And that's all I've got to say, and like Councillor Angus, I can't see how I can vote against it, so I will vote for it, but I don't like it.
Councillor Gray, are you closing the debate?
I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Okay.
Yeah. My question is, acknowledging the concerns which I share, my understanding from the reading is that part of the reason that this was approved through the Planning Commission process is because that it's not to create an allotment that will support a dwelling. So it will remain as agricultural land. So my question is, if I'm correct in that reading of it, can we have, I suppose it's sort of a roundabout question, but I guess I'm saying is, you know, what confidence can we have that that will be upheld, and what recourse do we have if at some point there is a decision to place a dwelling on that property? Does that create a really dangerous precedent then? That's a really poorly worded question. My apologies, but I hope you understand what I mean.
Through you, Mayor, thanks, Councillor Greatwich. I will say we did preempt this question and we tried to talk to it in the report. Staff have undertaken a bit of a review on the allotment patterns throughout the area, and we think the 2 applications are quite unique. What it doesn't do, though, it won't stop an application being lodged for a dwelling on either allotment, and both, to Councillor Angus's point, with the exclusion of, I think, 1.2 hectares, both do meet the minimum or close to the minimum size that would allow a dwelling to be supported on both allotments. Yep. So
I think
we've gone from potentially having 1 dwelling to 2 in the locality. Yep.
Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. What is actually written into law is you can't subdivide it for the purposes of residential land division. So the property still remains, what do they call it nowadays, primary production, or still remains a primary production for it. So that dwelling has to have some form of connection to primary production, not just for residential purposes.
Any further comment? All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. (7.4.4) is the endorsement of the Wellbeing and Inclusion Plan on page 442. Councillor Greatwich.
I'm just very happy to move this.
Seconded, Councillor Lane. Councillor Greatwich.
I suspect I'm going to say what Councillor Troop was going to say as well, which is just, I think I'd like to consider myself of having been an advocate of this process and policy all the way through its life cycle, to use a better word. I think it's an extraordinary piece of work. My sincere thanks to the staff for putting this together. It's an extraordinarily comprehensive project that's been undertaken, and I think that we can be enormously proud of it as a whole community.
So it's going to be great to see some community initiatives come on in the next 4 to 5 years and have it completely supported by what we do here as a council. So, yeah, very happy. It's good.
Any further comment?
May as well.
Councillor Troop.
I have to, I'm sorry. I've just been on, through you, Mr Mayor, I've just been on the very first committee of suicide prevention committee here in the Barossa. This is, in fact, it was 8 years ago, nearly to the this time. So not that this is just about suicide prevention, but honestly, this is just such a great culmination of hard work. This is truly community-led. I feel like it's quite innovative, and I feel like it's something that we're leading a lot of councils, this kind of community-led involvement and community-led change is very innovative, and I think that a lot of councils will be looking at us for leadership in this area because it's where it's heading. Community voice is what is going to lead the future. It's going to have to be what our community wants. Wellbeing is the very centre of this. So I am very thrilled to see this and extremely happy that it happened. So thank you.
Anything further? Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Councillors, we come to our confidential matters that we need to address. So with that in mind, I look for Councillor De Vries to move into confidence. Seconded, Councillor Troop. All those in favour? Carried. we'll now come back and close the formal part of the meeting, so we'll come back live.
Yep.
So councillors, that concludes our August meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is the 15th of September at 5:30. Thank you for your attendance. We will